Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, January 11th. It took pretty much this entire week. So the first week of January, until we barely even had enough news to maybe go 2 episodes. On the other hand, I'm still playing Minecraft modded Stone Block 2, so I really would like to get back to that really quickly, if I can get to that. So what do we need to do? Play rogue cards and mage class cards? It's not asking too much. Good news! I've been having this pain in my back, this ever increasing pain, so I took some extra time Wednesday to try and give it heat therapy and try and fix that, and somewhat helps, but only for a very temporary point. While doing that and lying in bed, I was able to play the Rumble Run, which I won. So we have 1 run complete. That's all you really need to do. I guess I played pretty well because they had nerfed how that worked for Rumble Run and made it easier anyways. So we now have this card back for our main account. Like all these solo adventures though, I'm pretty much never gonna do it on the other accounts. It's not worth it. Rogue and Mage. Let's see. Let's play with a Tempo Mage and see if we can get some victories. And let's kind of go through the news. If I need just to play Rogue or Mage cards, I can do that really easily. But I would like to win. 2, again, as long as I'm hyped to actually cover a game, and I guess I really did need to play Minecraft Stone Block. Like, too many games I've played are simply because I'm just trying to do different content, and they're all old games, so there's not like a major enthusiasm for me to play it. By being able to play Stone Block 2 and not have to pay any like money for it, because it's just a free mod to Minecraft and I already have Minecraft, that allowed me to get hyped for a relatively new game, play it. It's been a while since I played Minecraft. The truth though is Stone Block 2 is very, very far away from Minecraft, and it's putting us in at least 4 different directions, so I keep going in a very ADHD way in circles where I'm like, okay, I need to go deal with the mystical agriculture, or I need to deal with growing wheat so I have seeds so I can use it with the special chickens that make materials, or I need to go deal with the smeltery and tinker's forge, or I need to go to the mining dimension, and like Stone Block, you can't go to the nether dimension. The mining dimension is this area. If you just dig straight up, you'll eventually load into a whole different world where you can mine for ingredients. Although, to be honest, you really only need to do it once or twice if you do it right. Like, once I went to the mining dimension to get nether quartz. After I got nether quartz, I was able to make a nether quartz chicken, and that helped me get more nether quartz. Honestly, I probably didn't even need to do that much, because I probably could have got nether quartz from just sieving things and sieving dirt, gravel, stone, dust, and sand. Right now I'm only really sieving dust and cobblestone. I should work on that to sieve some other ingredients, but I'm not sure it's even really necessary. As I become more efficient with everything, it's gonna start boiling down to just having a need for more power more than anything. And then the main thing I'm suffering from right now is just mob drops. But up until last recording that I made, my main problem with it is just storage. Like, you can make these small storage crates that are much bigger than chests or double chests, and I was able to, after a lot of work, make a medium-sized storage chest, which was like 2 of them, but that was still way too much. I still had way too much stuff, and so I needed to get into the ME systems, and I was finally able to make the very bare basics to make ME systems. And because this game gives you random rewards, I already had a lot of random rewards that gave me a lot of drives, so I have plenty of space, at least for the moment. In fact, I probably have plenty of space in general because I had built this deep storage. I did this deep storage under my base concept where it goes into drawers, which drawers are relatively easy to make, but I didn't have any way to put items in the drawers. So yeah, that's gonna be the next thing is, do I want to build more drawers and build the biggest possible storage facility available, or do I want to make compacting drawers and do it that way? That might be it might be smarter to do compacting drawers. I guess it really comes down to items. Do items compact or not? No, I might even build a secondary storage area full of compacting drawers, and then a deep storage area, put everything from the deep storage area into the compacting drawers first, and then let them compact. That'd be an interesting idea. But also, all those drawers can be upgraded, so it's questionable. Like, I don't want my game to have so many mechanisms and computer mechanics and such that it's just running horribly. But I know that when we get to the point where we need to play EMC and turn items into just into just basically this magical value of EMC, I'm going to need all that storage to be full. Plus, I'd like a world that is rather nice at the end of the day. That would be appealing if I could show it off and say, yeah, this is the level of organization and this is the level of mechanization that I was hoping of having done. It's kind of weird about Stoneblock too. Also, is that it felt like you were gonna do a lot more mining of stone, but you really don't. In fact, I kind of see why Skyblock would be a little bit more desirable. You pretty quickly don't need stone as soon as you can make a cobblestone generator. Of course, the game is still not doing a great job of explaining what you need to do. And so there's been several times when I've just built the wrong thing. Straight up. I don't know these mods. I'm not an expert on these mods, so yeah, I'm just building the wrong things sometimes. I
wonder.
Let's see.
Why do you call?
Yeah, I guess there's not too much more to say about it. These episodes are there's going to be a lot of them for Stoneblock, and it's going to go on for, I think, quite a while. 1 damage and the damage next to it. Let's just do that. And in return. Alright, so let's start covering the news. We've got a game on Steam called Switch and Ditch, which looks like it's a player versus player multiplayer fighting game with a really small maps. The animation looks a little smoother than normal, but it is just really basic.
Possibilities.
Really basic. Maybe it's trying something different, but no. So yeah, that's not gonna make it on the fall list. There was a story that came across my eyes about how there are 3 more known games that have been delayed for like 3 months so far, as far as the trying to get on Steam. Although, to be fair, in this instance, the 3 games that were mentioned were things like Hentai, Solitaire, and other very low effort name games. So just from their name alone, it's the kind of quality curation that I'd be okay with personally if Valve hadn't said directly that they weren't going to be tastemakers and they weren't going to be doing any kind of curation short of straight up trolling. And even in that case, I think the very low effort named games probably are straight up trolling. And so even though I've been very much on the side of saying that it's wrong for Valve to be acting the way it is and not really explaining itself, on previous games, the 3 I've heard about most recently are kind of not in the level of quality as the other games. Now, it very possibly may be the case that there are actually higher quality games that are getting blocked from being allowed on Steam, but those people are just staying silent about it for one reason or the other. That might be the case. We don't know. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Chewing, which looks like a simplistic puzzle game. Somebody tried here to do some animation, but this is incredibly dull. When you have so many screenshots and they are just the exact same screen, yeah, that's not to the level of a quality product. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Jet Ant, which is an ant flying a jet in a 3D environment. This might be like a 3D version of Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, This might be good, this might be bad. I think I have to give this one a chance. It's $1.45. I think I might even try and save some time and not cover the prices. Next we have a game on Steam called Hypership Out of Control, which looks like a basic shoot 'em up game with unappealing graphics. $4.24. And yeah.
An incredible discovery.
Fortunately, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom, so this is gonna be the last game for a while. We're gonna have to take a break. Apologies for that, but certainly I've not been feeling well for a variety of reasons, and things seem to keep getting worse and worse. Alright. Are you gonna win? Add cards to my hand. Lifesteal.
I found it first.
Here. End the turn. It's pretty useless card. And see, the guy's gonna slow down.
I'm like everyone's biggest fan.
He's gonna slow down, so I can't win. Oh, he's actually gonna let me win. And that's the mage class cards already done. So yeah, I'm gonna have to run to the bathroom. We'll be back in about 20 minutes. Apologies. Okay, I'm back. Apologies for that. So, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the cute kids-friendly game Choochel, we need to play now rogue class cards, was getting very much positive reviews. Everybody was liking it when it came out. Nobody, to my understanding, generally speaking, nobody really had a problem with it or anything negative to even say about it. In fact, it seemed like it was a great little kid-friendly puzzle game where you play as a dust ball, and because you're playing as a dust ball, the character is black in color with an orange hat. Apparently somebody got upset about that. I imagine it was somebody at Kotaku or Polygon or The Verge or something like that, some SJW somewhere. That's my guess. And they claimed that the black dust ball was actually offensive because it looked like blackface, which is ridiculous thought. I mean, seriously, are you going to tell all artists that they can't use the color black for anything now? Because that's really what you're making, the argument you're making. I mean, just ridiculous clickbait type of complaints that the developer, I believe Rydo is the name of the developer, should have not listened to for a second. But they did listen to it, and then they changed the character, and because they caved in and changed the character, people were upset. So people either who had owned the game started reviewing it negatively on that change. I think the character personally looks worse because of the change. And so they started, I guess you call it review bombing, but in all honesty, I think review bombing is the wrong term, because It's literally just one person leaving one review. It's hardly the concept of somebody making dozens of fake accounts. And the thing about review bombing on Steam, we'll just keep using the basic parlance there, is that if you want your review to count, you have to own the game. You have to buy the game. So if people are literally buying your game to complain about it, they're really upset. Even if somebody was making multiple fake accounts, buying the game on each of those multiple fake accounts, and leaving bad reviews, that's an indicator that the developer should listen to, because those people are really spending money, whereas the person complaining about the character, the way the cute kid's Dustball character looked, probably didn't even buy one copy. So yeah, it's kind of a shame that they would have listened to that and made changes they really shouldn't have. I think you could probably also put it down to the developers, I believe, are mid-European, so they're not directly in the insanity that is the United States with SJWs, so they didn't see that coming.
Justice is mine.
But like, it's a real shame. And then the story really this is a story that should have never happened, and it should have ended there, except for somebody went on a Twitter rant at another game developer, and a lot of other game developers, you know, they groupthink like crazy on Twitter and everywhere. They started pushing the idea that Steam should not allow reviews at all, and this is something that's been consistently going on throughout the past year or so, is the idea of game developers saying people don't deserve freedom of speech, they shouldn't be allowed to put a review on. And Epic Game Stores is definitely pushing to not have reviews. They said they absolutely won't have reviews, so I don't know why anybody would want to do business with a company if you just say it out loud and think about it. I don't know why people would want to do business with a company that is actively against freedom of speech.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
Let's see. And so, with all of that set up, we can kind of transition to this GameIndustry.biz article. Ubisoft forgoes Steam in favor of Epic Games for the Division 2. Now, the Division 1 kind of sucked, didn't get great reviews. I expect that Division 2 will be in a similar fashion. One copy of a minion for my hand.
Monsters behind you.
Right. Oh, this is the deck where you're supposed to be developing a list of spell damage plus. That's kind of what I'm doing here, but
Justice is
not quite
mine.
there. So the article subtitle is Epic and Ubisoft to partner on additional select titles throughout the year. In all honesty, I was never going to play the Division 1 or 2, so it doesn't really matter to me that it's going to the Epic Store. I think this will be a great excuse for them to put out a bad game and not really have to face up to the consequences of having put out a bad game. Alright. See, do I want to destroy things? I think we can.
Justice is mine.
There we go. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave the article at that point though. More and more, well, I mean, I'm in this weird position because I was never thinking for a second that I wanted to go to the Epic Store. I feel like anybody who has a decent amount of games on any previous storefront does not want to have to deal with going to a new storefront
Justice is mine.
and having your games spread across several storefronts. And even me personally, I have a lot of games on the Twitch Prime launcher that I've gotten for free. That doesn't mean I really use it or would ever play any of those games. I'm just kind of claiming those games to take money out of Jeff Bezos, the Amazon.com CEO's pocket. And any game I do have on the Twitch Prime launcher, probably would rebuy before I actually played. Let's see. Oh man, I am doing this completely wrong.
Justice is mine.
Yeah. 5 damage. So, moving on, we have a game on Steam called Neoverse. It's already rated mostly positive. It looks like it's a card-based RPG of sorts. I don't know, it's early access. It's $15.29. It's single player only. I'm surprised. What I was seeing in the animation did not lead me to believe this was a card-based game. It's Korean, Chinese, so it's probably a Chinese game. And it's probably a cell phone port, if I was to guess too. Yeah, this looks really pretty, but the more I realize what it actually is, yeah, this is not a game I'd really want to cover. Okay.
I wonder.
Let's... There we go. Yeah, Neoverse, I'm not gonna put it on the follow list. Next we have a game on Steam called Choice or Fate, which is an RPG Maker game. Still haven't seen a ton of them, but it does seem like we're getting kind of a steady flow of at least one a week. This, I think it's a Russian game, and English language is not supported, $1.70. Yep, Russian. That's what I thought. It's probably not good, but since it's English only anyways, I won't be doing anything with it.
Justice is mine.
Let's see. Gamatsu has an article, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim Prologue debut trailer. It's due out for the PS4 on March 14th in Japan. I don't know what 13 Sentinels is, but it does seem to have kind of a unique art style, if we can show it off here. 13 Japanese school children of some indeterminate age, high school, college, junior high, whatever, but very soft brush style animations on it with a lot of texturing. Let's see what this is. It's a... This is... Aegis Run Prologue is like a demo. The full version of 13 Sentinel Aegis Run hasn't been announced. All the voice actors have been announced. And let's see. PlayStation 3 and Vanillaware. I haven't heard Vanillaware in a long time. Alright.
Justice is mine.
Let's see.
Quickly.
Maybe I should play some spells. I'm gonna watch the trailer for 13 Sentinels.
Lightning can strike twice.
Aegis Rim sounds like an anime, so I feel like that's something. So I'm looking at the trailer. It's showing a character that seemed to magically summon something on her side while everybody else is fleeing and running in the streets. Seems like there are these giant robotic alien type creatures attacking Tokyo. One assumes it's Tokyo. And it seems like each of these sentinels are going to play a role in fighting back against these monsters. There you go. Was that enough cards to get the daily quest done? Well, we've got a win. Let's see. We've got a win streak going, so we might as well ride the streak. Yeah, the trailer doesn't really say much, and that's pretty typical in Japanese game trailers. But I can probably guess that it's not a visual novel. Not with the setup of 13 characters that look like they're going to somehow fight. Although I didn't actually see any fighting.
Your soul shall be mine.
Next, we have a game on Steam that's all in Chinese or Japanese, and it looks like a resource management strategy, real-time strategy game. It's already mixed in reviews. Early access 1804. Simplified Chinese, so just another simple, probably bad Chinese game. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article. Epic, Improbable start a fund to lure away developers from Unity amid the engine kerfuffle. Let's see. So the article goes, in wake of the bluster between the online platform provider Improbable and engine maker Unity. I don't know what the bluster is. Apparently I have a tab that will explain that more later. Another party has entered the fray. Epic Games, purveyor of the Unreal Engine and the biggest competitor to Unity, said Thursday night it has partnered with Improbable to establish a $25 million fund to assist developers who are left in limbo by the new engine and servicing compatibilities that were introduced today. So sounds like Unreal did something to really irritate people.
Come, try your luck.
Let's see. In essence, this means that Epic is offering help pay for game developers to move away from its competitor Unity, a calculated move that seeks to capitalize on Unity's public relations and developer relations blunder. Let's see, is there anything more in the story? Thursday morning. Oh, this is the Spatial OS story that I'd seen people talk about.
So many
I
possibilities.
guess we'll attack here. And we'll explosive trap it. That's what I thought. Thursday morning, Improbable stated that Unity-based projects that use its multiplayer online platform Spatial OS were in breach of Unity's freshly updated licensing terms. Quote, Unity has clarified to us that this change effectively makes it a breach of terms to operate or create Spatial OS games using Unity, including in the development or production of games, Improbable said today. Now that very possibly is illegal. In the United States, as odd as it might sound and as impossible as it is to often enforce, doing something that stops somebody else from getting business, making money, or creating or fulfilling a contract is illegal. There's an interesting story where some radio personality, like, on the air threatened the life of the magician Penn Jillette, and I may get some of this facts wrong, so don't take any of this as gospel. And then Penn Jillette had a meeting with the boss of the guy, telling him he didn't want the radio personality fired, and at the end of months later or so, the guy got fired anyways, and he sued Penn Jillette. So it was this weird case where the guy who had made a credible threat against the life of Penn Jillette was now suing Penn Jillette because he believed Penn Jillette had gotten him fired. There is a more recent story where a YouTuber called Diversity in Comics, who has been harshly critical of, I think, both Marvel and DC, and they're trying to make quote unquote woke comics and put identity politics in all the comics. Somebody finally told him to put up or shut up, so he made his own comic book that he kickstarted and was putting out. And since the people, I think at Marvel, but maybe DC, one person in particular hates this guy so much, he actively called the publisher and threatened the publisher who was publishing I think the name of the comic strip was Jawbreakers. He actively threatened I believe it was Penguin Press, to say that DC or Marvel, whichever one he was from, would not do any business with Penguin Press ever again if they published that. And so now, assuming the YouTuber Diversity in Comics has the money and actually goes through the lawsuit, there's a definite case of someone sabotaging someone else's career and business. Well, there goes my win streak. But to get back to this article on video games, I'm sure there's probably dozens of other articles, instances. This is the reason that theoretically if somebody is calling to verify that somebody worked at a previous job, a previous position, that you really don't want to open yourself up to a legal lawsuit, so you just say yes, they were employed and it was from this time and this time. but it's still very easy. Tragic Master decided to make a European account, apparently. It's still incredibly easy to manipulate that and say, yeah, but a wink and nod and slide a note under the table to say, don't hire this guy, he's horrible. Although, in all fairness, there's also good reason, even if the employee is horrible, there's good reason to just let them get a job somewhere else and get out of your life. If you had to fire an employee because he's terrible, or if he threatened you and you're the boss, let's say that happened, like if he's sitting at home stewing and he's got nothing better to do, then there's a higher chance he's gonna hunt you down or wait outside your office if he really is that disgruntled of an employee. That was an easy watch and learn. Thank goodness. Sometimes those just turn into nightmares. So I'm not saying there's a lot of motivation to lie for a former employee, but I do think there's a decent reason to try and do your best to let them get their next job. And there is something to be said about, like, if you worked at a job for 5-10 years, maybe that relationship started off kind of good and then devolved really badly, and maybe with a new fresh start, an employee might turn over a new leaf. Paladin or warrior is what we need now. So yeah, you just don't know how people might react to people. I'm going off on a tangent here, and this article's still going on. Hours after the improbable statement, Unity responded by saying improbable statement was misleading, stating that even though Unity is terminating its relationship with Improbable and Spatial OS, game developers who are currently developing Spatial OS games with Unity would not be affected. Quote, projects that are currently in production or live using Spatial OS are not affected by any actions we have taken with Improbable, Unity says. Well, with Improbable is different than with our terms of service in general. Moving on, though. I'm not really sure what Spatial OS is, but it seems like it is a system used to help people make multiplayer run. Next we have a game on Steam called Zero Spring Episode 3. You can see this video isn't even full screen. This looks like total garbage. I have not seen anything Zero Spring 1 or 2. This is 89 cents. There is a 2, but I guess one, this is English and Japanese. This does not look like a Japanese animator to me. This does not look like a Japanese animation style. But you know, it is possible, certainly, that a developer in Japan is going it alone and doing a really bad job of it.
I must move quickly.
Wow, Zero Spring Episode 1 looks way better than 3 does.
I wonder.
Alright.
Repent.
Well, neither one of those games are making it to the follow list. Next we have a game called Mr. Husky, which looks like a simplistic puzzle game where you have to go in a specific direction until you hit a wall. I would say the animation style for this probably does not help that gameplay style. Some of the backgrounds in particular are rather busy and distracting. Early access for $1.19. It has Thai, Japanese, Russian, traditional Chinese, and more languages. I bet it really doesn't.
Speak your peace.
Reporting for duty.
Repent.
Playing. So yeah, Mr. Husky not making it to the wish list. This next one is kind of surprising. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, and I better click off of this video before it gets content ID'd. I'm fairly certain Tales of Vesperia came out relatively recently on PC. So why a new version? That's strange. It's $49.99. 10th anniversary of Tales of Vesperia. Okay. Alright, I see what's happening here. I have Tales of Vesperia, the original version, on my wish list because it's an older game. When I did the Steam wishlist cleanup, I saw Tales of Vesperia. Because of its animation style, it didn't occur to me that it was an older game, and now that there's a definitive edition, it makes sense. Alright, well, if I'm gonna play the Tales of series, which there's a lot of those games, RPGs, I would definitely get the definitive edition. It's rated very positively. I don't see a real reason to go backwards and forwards on that. I bet I'll even check the wish list and find out that the older version is not even available anymore. Right. What do I want to do? If I do this, let's see. Or 3 is good. 3 poisonous.
For justice.
Is there.
The battle! The battle!
I was hoping to get Wing Fury, but poisonous works good. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. Tencent picks up a 36% ownership of Warhammer Vermintide 2 developer Fat Shark. I suppose that's the right business practice for Tencent, and it's kind of consistent with what they have been doing for a while now, is picking up the
Reporting for duty.
picking up as many titles as they can own. Well, not titles, but companies. And because Tencent's having trouble as a Chinese company releasing games in China, the only way it can really make any income at all is by having other companies other companies make games and release them outside of China. On the other hand, it might be better if Tencent went under, so then you'll have a Chinese company influencing the development of games, which maybe Tencent really doesn't do that. I'm not sure I've seen any real evidence that they've negatively affected the development of any company's games that they've owned some percentage in.
The battle! The battle!
Let's see. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. Get a job. WWE is hiring an interactive games manager. The location would be Stamford, Connecticut. I would not be surprised if Dan from the Giant Beastcast, Giant Bombcast applied for this job. Although he did recently get married, so the idea of him moving from New York when he just kind of moved to New York would be a little weird, but not crazy weird. And so I'm not sure really though how much of the games industry you really would get into working for WWE. You're mostly going to be making cell phone games. Dan, by the way, also knows a lot of the WWE people, so he's already got a in.
The light protects me.
Let's see.
The battle! The battle!
So yeah, working for WWE probably not gonna have you making AAA games. Maybe you're making that one WWE 2K game that comes out every year that sucks. But I think EA actually licensed that game, so you probably are just limited to mobile games. Moving on, Game of Sutra has an article. THQ Nordic has acquired the rights to Outcast. I believe the Outcast has a remake. The game Outcast, if it's the one I'm thinking about, is weird for how it has this niche following, but never really looked great. This is just THQ Nordic continuing to do what they do. It's really a shame, but at this point I really have no faith in THQ Nordic to make anything good or really even develop games in-house. Let's see. The article continues. The action-adventure adventure title is literally what it says. Action-adventure title was eventually developed by Belgian studio Appeal and first released on PC back in 1999. The studio began working on a sequel, Outcast 2: The Lost Paradise, but financial difficulties eventually saw the project shelved by publisher Infogrames before Appeal eventually declared bankruptcy in 2002. Since then, however, the franchise has been given a new lease on life with Appeal's original founders, Yves Grollet, Frank Sauer, and Jan Robert, relaunching the studio in 2015 before releasing a complete remake called Outcast Second Contact 2017. Let's see, do we want this? I think we're safe to do this. The deal will see Outcast join THQ Nordic's growing slate of properties, which includes familiar names like Time Splitters. I would like to see a Time Splitters reboot. Kingdoms of Amalur, maybe a reboot on that. Carmageddon, Alone in the Dark reboot, maybe too. Goat Simulator, I don't think we need a new Goat Simulator, although you could potentially make a new Goat Simulator.
Speak your peace.
Hey, catch!
Moving on, Gematsu has an article. Bungie acquires Destiny publishing rights from Activision. Bungie and Activision split. So, Activision Blizzard, the developers of Hearthstone, seems like they're not doing great.
Speak your peace.
But this actually might be the best thing ever. If Bungie leaves Activision and Blizzard leaves Activision and the three companies just do some major reshufflings, bring back the people who are good, get rid of the people who are bad, you know, we might have a small amount of frustration and struggle for Blizzard and Activision. There was a time many years ago where Activision I think was making some pretty good games too. So if Activision is now split with Bungie, and Bungie has the publishing rights, that means almost certainly Destiny is going to come to a different storefront. Could be that it comes to Steam. It could be that it isn't exclusive to the Epic Store. Could be that it tries to make its own launcher. That'd be kind of crazy. But up until this point, if you wanted to play Destiny, it was through a Battle.net app launcher with a Battle.net account. And if you lose that reason, Heroes of the Storm is pretty much in maintenance mode. I think all the Warcraft and StarCraft games are kind of in maintenance mode. The only thing you could make an argument for is that Hearthstone is still actively in development, Overwatch is still actively in development, everything else is kind of low. They're really not getting anything. They announced it like this, quote, "We have enjoyed a successful 8 years and would like to thank Activision for their partnership on Bungie said in a statement. Looking ahead, we're excited to announce plans for Activision to transfer publishing rights to Destiny for Destiny to Bungie. I wonder, though, am I misreading this? Is this Destiny 1 or is this Destiny 2? Because if it's the publishing rights for Destiny 1, that's not really worth much. Let's see. With our remarkable Destiny community, we are ready to publish on our own, while Activision will increase their focus on owned IP projects." In its own statement, Activision said, quote, "Today we're announcing plans for Bungie to assume full publishing rights and responsibilities for the Destiny franchise." Okay, it's both games. Just give this.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah, it stopped. Going forward, Bungie will and develop the franchise. I think that's supposed to be run, but it says O&E. And develop the franchise, and Activision will increase its focus on its own IP and other projects. Activision and Bungie are committed to seamless transition for Destiny franchise and will continue to work closely together during the transition on behalf of the community and their Destiny players around the world. That's almost the exact same statement. So that's kind of interesting. We have an update for a story on GameIndustry.biz. The story was Facebook rejects the game Gris, G-R-I-S, ad for sexually suggestive content. According to Facebook, it was not the ad itself, but it was images on Devolver's, I guess that's Devolver Digital's, linked Instagram page. They got the trailer pulled, which is some weird, random, like, way of doing things. Certainly, like, it's definitely a guilt by association, but I guess it's guilt by self-association. And Facebook does own Instagram, so it was probably really easy. I would like to see which images it was. that was the problem. But also this could definitely be looked at as a good thing. It means that when somebody submits a ad to Facebook that has a link that takes them to like an Instagram account, they look at that Instagram account to make sure it's not somebody, I don't know, running an ad for some kind of like kid-friendly cartoon, and then you click on it and it's hardcore porn or something that's actually linked to. So interesting. Now I doubt in this instance Devolver Digital has anything on Instagram that is too risque, but by my standards, but apparently it was too risque by their standards. Right, this,
Reporting for
this,
duty.
this, and this. Charm. Game of Sutra has an article. There is a report that GameStop's ownership is going to change hands as early as mid-February. At least 2 companies are quietly in the process of bidding for ownership of the physical game retailer GameStop, and a sale could be announced as early as mid-February, according to a source familiar with the company. Now the problem here immediately is if it turns out that it's a company that, like the people who bought Toys R Us, that buys GameStop and does it by putting GameStop incredibly in debt and setting them up to eventually have to declare bankruptcy, that's a bad thing. On the other hand, wait a minute, is this GameStop or GameSpot? This is GameStop. Yeah, GameStop would probably have some better leadership. It would be nice if they had better leadership at least.
For justice.
Do I want to kill something? See, this one's gonna do 13 damage anyways.
The battle.
So yeah, I think there are definitely some things that GameStop could do to improve the services it offers. Moving on, Game of Sutra has an article. Unity changes terms of service to block spatial OS projects. Let's see. We need warrior. Yeah. The odds that I get a victory with a warrior are gonna be really low. Let's see. Unity has blocked the use of the real-time multiplayer platform Spatial OS, leaving many developers who rely on the service in a state of limbo. A change to the Unity terms of service, meaning all existing Spatial OS titles, including production games and those still in development, are now in breach of the company's licensing terms. Spatial OS creator Improbable broke the news in a blog post. And see, this is a very interesting story as to how it's written, and then a day later you get a very different story where Unity says no, it's not affecting anybody who's currently in development. What I'd really like to know is why this happened. Let's see. This means the company will no longer be able to fully support Unity developers, some of whom have been forced to shut down their servers for their Spatial OS projects. I wonder if, like, this is political in some way, too. It might very well be. If, like, Spatial OS is owned by a Chinese company or something. Although, the article continues, although Improbable believes that the unfortunate and counterproductive action to simply be a error in judgment or coordination failure on Unity's part. The company is worried by the fact that the change occurred during an open commercial negotiation with the engine maker. Let's do this.
Give that minion a turn to get
Let's see. Quote, overnight, this is an action by Unity that has immediately done harm to the projects across the industry, including those of extremely vulnerable or small-scale developers, and damaged major projects in development over many years, wrote Improbable. Games that have been funded based on the promise of Spatial OS to deliver next-generation multiplayer are now endangered due to their choice of game engine. Live games are now in legal limbo. I wonder how good a mobile game would be that uses Spatial OS. Like, how good is the netcode really? Because netcode has always been a big issue, and not done very well for a lot of games. All customers who entered into a relationship with us and Unity previously did so in a good faith understanding that the terms they signed up to sometimes years ago would allow them to be successful and not carry additional charges. Improbable is now urgently seeking a solution to the situation and says it will do everything in its power to solve the issue in good faith with Unity. Sounds like they keep saying good faith. That sounds like they're setting themselves up to sue them. And generically speaking, I really don't want to see less competition in the world of game engines. Unity and Unreal are the two biggest ones, and I really can't name a third. RPG Maker might be the third biggest video game engine, or maybe it's the Cry engine. That's probably true. In the meantime, the company has pledged to help developers using Spatial OS with Unity finish, release, and operate their games, and is setting up an emergency fund for partners who will never now be thrown into financial mire. Let's see. How do we want to do this? We can hit that. We can hit that. We can hit that. We can hit that. And we can attack. Improbable will also be fully open sourcing the Spatial OS game development kit for Unity under the MIT license, in the hopes it might assist individual customers in some way. Those interested can find out more about the dispute over the Improbable blog. Let's see. So let's play this. Interesting.
Job's done.
Winter is here.
Yeah, there's nothing on the Improbable blog that seems to give any more indication on as to why this is going on. Right. Here we go. Gamasutra has a different article. Report, Amazon is developing its own game streaming service. Amazon is reportedly developing its own cloud-based streaming service that would allow players to download and play games. I don't really think that there's much more to say about this article. I would have guessed there's a dozen companies that are in similar situations where they theoretically are developing they're theoretically developing a game streaming service. Amazon is in a good position to do that because they have their lumberyard and online servers, but also they're kind of in a bad position too. They really haven't blown anybody out of the water with owning Twitch. Like nothing really has changed at Twitch for the better. If anything, it's been for the worse. Their attempts to monetize Twitch and sell games failed. Their attempts with the Twitch launcher really hasn't done anything amazing. Let's see.
I don't need any of you.
So yeah, maybe it would happen, but no online download and stream game service is no streaming service particularly is going to catch my attention. A download service would just be in the storefront like Steam. Okay, that exists. There's plenty of those. Do we need another one? Not really. Need to do 3 damage. So if I do this, and then do this, do this, and do that. That leaves them down to 1.
Lightning can strike twice.
Again, I think I'll just make 1 episode today, since I'm gonna have to edit it anyways. Next, we have this game called Boxing School. It looks kind of funny, a horse boxing and like a boxing RPG, but it's not animated well. It doesn't have that visual appeal. I'm always on the lookout for a good Punch-Out clone on PC, but I've yet to see it. This is discounted to $8.99. Alright.
Your magic shall not save you.
Seriously?
For me!
What happens to his health? It's back up quite a lot. Gamasutra has an article. Blizzard states the importance of a, quote, inclusive workplace after discrimination allegations. Overwatch developer Blizzard has reiterated the importance of maintaining an inclusive and respectful work environment after a former employer made some concerning allegations about the studio. Is there anything more to this article other than just republishing the accusations that the person made? Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 paragraphs in this Gamasutra article that are just directly the same as the previous story. Let's see. Like, and this article does kind of even make the same accusations other people have made, that in the middle of this real world person who worked at your company making accusations of being harassed, they announced that Soldier 76 is gay and try to use that as a bit of political cover. And, let's see. The only paragraph here, there's the only part of this article that has about 10 paragraphs. There's 2 that are important. It's the part here that says, quote, "While the company does not comment on individual personal issues, we can share that having an inclusive, respectful environment is extremely important to us. We have a policy against harassment and discrimination and take reports of inappropriate behavior very seriously," said the company in a statement. The next paragraph says, "There are a number of methods for employees to come forward should they experience or observe any inappropriate behavior. All claims of alleged harassment and discrimination which are brought to our attention are investigated, and we take action where appropriate. We strive to create an inclusive and respectful environment that reflects Blizzard's core values in everything we do," which that's just basic lawyer speak for we swear we do the right thing, we swear it. But you know, like, if I was fired for harassing a coworker, or yeah, and I was working in a job, you know, it's very possible, if I was trying to cover up that fact, I would make the story turn around the exact opposite way and say I was being harassed. It's also very possible that both are true. Bullies often are bullied themselves, so it very possibly is that a office environment can get toxic. I hate to use that phrase, where one person jokes around and pushes it too far, and then the other person jokes around and pushes it back and pushes it too far, and pretty soon both people on at different occasions are bullying each other and harassing each other. In fact, a lot of jobs are nothing but that. So yeah, there's some stuff there. It's also very, very common for businesses in the United States to not actually do anything other than cover the company's own butt when harassment claims get made. Like, there's so little worker protection in the United States. They can get away with so much. Well, we got an interesting announcement. YouTube is getting rid of the automatic posting of public YouTube activity on Twitter and Google+. Now, they were shutting down Google+, so I half think that the only reason why they were posting to Twitter is because they were posting to Google+ too. And now that they're not competing and shutting down Google+, they're just taking their toys home with them. That's not how you say the phrase. Taking their toys and going home. But that's gonna screw a lot of people. Certainly, like, my YouTube channel really is just designed for people to follow me on, well, not my YouTube channel. My Twitter channel is designed for people to follow me on Twitter and see my videos. Maybe this would eventually push people to check their subscription feed a little bit more often, but I think more often than not, what's going to happen is people are just going to stop watching as much YouTube as they have, because you've removed that convenience. The good news is, I don't think it's really going to affect me. because I can just make an if this then that plugin unless they stop that too, and I could continue for it to happen. So yeah, that kind of sucks though. TubeBuddy, the plugin that a lot of YouTubers use, also says they're going to have a solution to just maintain what you're doing. I definitely want notifications to go out in as many places as possible, and this is just ridiculous. Ironically, this is also the feature that was not working, and I complained to YouTube about it, and then they never really responded, but eventually it did get fixed. So what's also interesting here is that will we'll see if after January 31st if things that I've already scheduled to share still share or not, because if things I've already scheduled to share, then it'll still go for at least a couple months. This is just a dumb thing for YouTube to do. YouTube does this a lot. They get rid of features, they don't have replacements for them, or the new replacements are worse. This is almost certainly just an admittance that the new version of YouTube, the YouTube Video Manager Beta will have less features. I guess it might make it easier for my macro in the long run to automate programming and scheduling of videos. That's just one less form and one less bit of code I have to maintain, but that wasn't the part that was giving me trouble. It's their stupid website, which I guess the beta theoretically might fix that. But almost certainly, let's just go ahead and concede here. I'm not gonna play with this guy, and so yeah, people are gonna miss out on videos. It is now extremely important for everybody to click the subscription bell, click the notification bell on any YouTube channel you want to see. And even at that, you're still probably not going to get notifications. There is an RSS feed, if you want to put that in an RSS newsreader, that I have a link in my description to. I know I'm somehow getting to Facebook notifications, but Facebook wasn't really giving out those notifications either, and Tumblr, I don't feel like there's really reason to get rid of my Tumblr, but I wasn't certainly gonna connect that. Like, a lack of integration really does strand my channel into no social media links at all, and that's not where I wanted it to go at all. I wanted people to friend me on Twitter and actually talk to me, but I guess not that many real world people do that, and I'm just such a small YouTuber anyways. People don't even come on the stream and chat. But again, yeah, YouTube's just a jerk. That, all you can say, that's just a dick move is all it is. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. Sega Ages gain ground and Puyo launch in February in the West. So that's two games, one called Sega Ages Gain Ground and one called Sega Ages Puyo. They'll launch via the Nintendo eShop in Americas and Europe in February. So these are just old games going to the eShop.
The light dims, but we fight.
Next we have a game on Steam called Cuboid Keeper, which is just a bullet hell asteroids game. It looks actually rather fast paced. If I didn't hate this style of gameplay, I might be a little interested in it. Although it is a little rough in its animation styles too. $6.29. Yep. Again, not making it to the follow list. Next we have Tech Raptor article. Coming as pretty much a surprise to no one. Atlas Catherine Classic comes to Steam. It's cool, I suppose, that Catherine Classic's coming out, but I'm fairly certain now that Catherine Classic is missing some content versus the Catherine full body. But the way it was described is that if you played Catherine Classic right now on PC and got the multiple endings, by the time you were done and really ready to play Catherine full body, you would have felt like you got a decent amount of an experience.
The battle.
On top of which, I think Catherine PC is pretty cheap. Yeah, it's $20 on Steam right now, which means if it goes on sale, there is a decent chance you could get it under 10. TechRaptor has a paragraph here. Be aware, Catherine Classic is the original game, while Catherine Full Body is coming to the PS4. Catherine Full Body adds extra content and enhancements, including a third love interest named Rin. This release in Japan on February. Catherine Full Body releases in Japan on February 14th and sometime later worldwide. And I heard speculation that it would be 6 months to a year before Catherine Full Body actually comes out to the rest of the world. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a half bait and switch concept where the
Reporting for duty.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that Catherine does not come out at all. Catherine Full Body doesn't come out
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
for worldwide at all, and that this was the way to appease that. But if that is the truth, this is a weird way to do that too, because people would still be rather irritated if 2 or 3 years down the line from now, Catherine Full Body is still a Japanese exclusive. Let's see. Oh man, they literally killed every card I had. Alright, we'll play that way. We'll play that way. See. Next we have a game on Steam called Combat Core, which looks like a slightly interesting concept, but it does kind of feel like you're just fighting characters with the camera zoomed in way too close in a few interesting little platform areas. It's not good enough though. Definitely not for $13.59 discounted. Gotta keep those standards high. Just because it's the first month of the year doesn't mean we should fall into the trick of buying bad games. Summon 2 of those.
Reporting for duty.
Summon that.
Reporting for duty.
Play that.
For justice.
And that. Gamasutra has a blog. Direction tools for your game's dialogue. Interesting idea. Certainly. But this is really, really inside baseball, this blog, talking about designing dialogue, trees. This is almost like the opposite of what was it, Price did, where that developer just attacked the video game community in general when trying to have a because they felt offended. They were offended by somebody trying to have a conversation with her. That was a long time ago, so it's kind of like bringing up old wounds to mention it now. She eventually got fired, and one of her coworkers got fired too for attacking the community, which seems to be an odd favorite pastime of some game developers.
For justice.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Aftercharge. If this is a single playable game, I will put it on the wish list. Nope, it's a multiplayer game. So yeah, that's what I figured. This looks relatively good, but any multiplayer game has to kind of be great. This has to be better than Overwatch, or as good as Overwatch, or Fortnite, to get a big enough player base so that people could actually play this. This looks a little bit like Battleborn in its gameplay style. Yeah. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Fight for Love, which looks like it might be a troll game. It's 59 cents. This doesn't look bad at all. It looks like an old PC game, and the price is good, but it's not really looking great. And then all the achievements are numbers, which tells me that it's probably just a simple achievement game. And this is probably less than an hour of gameplay. Some of it doesn't look bad. That looks pretty bad.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see.
For justice. Job done.
TechRaptor has an article. Final Fantasy digital card game coming to PC and smartphones. It doesn't look amazingly good. Let's just show it off. Like these tiny little characters with numbers. This looks like this would be kind of difficult to see on the screen. There's a lot of stuff happening here. A lot of screen space getting taken up. And I frankly don't think I'd want to play a Final Fantasy card game. I'm not sure particularly which Final Fantasy game they would focus on, or which Final Fantasy world, whether it's 7, 13, 15. This probably is an admittance that since they've lost their Final Fantasy developer, they're gonna just pull Konami and try and milk the Final Fantasy franchise and its fan base as much as possible. I tell you, with my bad back, I can't even adjust myself in the chair. Like, I can't even lean forward, lean back without potentially causing huge spasms. Fortunately, I'm not the type of person to scream out in pain, and I think I have a rather high pain threshold anyways, but this is crippling. It's totally debilitating, and I think I will probably have to spend another day, or if not a whole week, just lying in bed. The problem here is I probably have torn or damaged muscles in my back, and I need lots and lots of bed rest, and I'm too obsessed about playing video games and making footage, and my channel is already in a horrible position as far as footage. And frankly, I'm not the kind of person that intentionally wants to lie around forever and do nothing. Insomnia may cause me to fall asleep at weird times or stay awake at weird times, but when I am awake, I do want to actually accomplish things. Things that I want to accomplish, either, at least. It looks like we'll probably get a quick disconnect for as long as this is taking. So let's just continue. We have a game here called Brave Hero Yusha EX, which is $4.49. It looks like a terrible RPG. Well, not terrible. It looks like an NES RPG until you start to get to like this last screenshot and these character animations. But something that looks like an NES game is certainly not something that I have any interest in playing nowadays. And in all honesty, Legend of Zelda 1 is pretty much all you needed. I don't think you need to play anything else in that style that looks like that. Next we have a TechRaptor article. The Textorcist, that's TEXTORCIST, mashes up bullet hell and typing. It's coming to Steam this February. I might be willing to play this game, although we don't really need to talk about it or get hyped about it yet, since it's not out yet. But the idea is kind of interesting. If all I have to do is type things, then the game just plays automatically, that would be cool. However, if what really is going on here is that you have to maneuver, shoot, and type, that's like 3 things at the same time. So I feel like what I'm gonna have to do is see somebody else play their Textorcist first to make sure that's how it actually works. There's 2 games on Steam, one called Type Fighters and one called Epi Story, EPISTOY, that are also about typing, not to mention Typing of the Dead. Man, this is just taking forever. Servers must have gone down. Let's see. So there's actually quite a few typing games on Steam compared to how little educational games there are. Did I mention Netflix is making a Carmen Sandiego cartoon? They are. It's turning Carmen Sandiego into a hero instead of the bad girl. It looks fine. It looks kind of cool. I love the idea of them doing something like Carmen Sandiego. It'd be nice if there was a new game that came out. And frankly, making her somewhat of a hero probably is the right thing, considering the age bracket and considering there really wasn't a real hero in the games. It was just a player. So There was a previous Carmen Sandiego cartoon that tried to create some characters that were kind of cool, but I can't remember their names. Moving on, GameIndustry.biz has an article. Mike Morhaime fully departs Blizzard this April. Long-serving exec is currently in an advisory role, but will give up these responsibilities later this year. So, he revealed in October that he was stepping down as president. So, frankly, everybody, that was probably the beginning of the end for Blizzard. When the president steps down, I bet that caused a lot of shockwaves, that caused a lot of people to start looking for new jobs and new opportunities. Next, we have a game on Steam called Idle Racing Go Clicker Tycoon. That is just a mess of mixed in phrases and names. Clearly this is a garbage game. Free to play though, so I guess the price is right, but yeah. Racing, but then idle games, but then a clicker game, which how can it be a clicker game and an idle game at the same time? And the Go part, as in Pokemon Go, doesn't make any sense. Jeez. I don't think I've ever seen this bad, so let's just go ahead and quit. Let's quit and let's go into the Asian account and let's see what the Asian account has to offer for us. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called What Never Was. Free to play adventure indie story rich, it says on the tags. This looks really good. I assume this is probably an incredibly short kind of walking simulator adventure game. Or Gone Home style game. This doesn't look bad though. What Never Was is a short story-driven first-person game focused on exploration and puzzle solving. I'll put this on the wish list. Like, there's no real reason even to put it on the follow list. Let's put it on the wish list if I ever want to cover a free game that looks like that's something we could cover. Let's re-roll this. So, Druid, Rogue, victories, and then 3 victories with a Paladin or Warrior. So let's play a Druid game. Just play it on casual to speed this up. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Free-to-play shutdowns risk a consumer backlash in 2019. Opinion. Subtitle is aggressive closure of underperforming free-to-play games has resulted in more virtual property being destroyed. A backlash is looming. This is just an opinion piece. It's probably a pretty good opinion piece though. Like, yeah, this is definitely a problem of people making these free-to-play games and then not doing a great job of supporting them or making them good quality in the first place. TechRaptor has an article. The PC Building Simulator game releases this January, which this is kind of a hype article. It seems like the PC Building Simulator is getting slightly better every time I see it, but there's still some questionableness about how much of an actual game or how much of an actual simulator it's going to be. Gamasutra has an interesting article. Well, it's a video. Video creating the characters in the world of Mafia 3. This must have been this is January 10th, 2019. Like, I don't see any reason. Oh no, this actually came out in 2017. Like, I could not figure out why anybody would be talking about Mafia 3, which was just a almost complete failure of a game. They got no play at all. But yeah, Gamma Sutra is getting bad about reposting articles and pretending like they're new. Next we have a game on Steam called The Perfectionist. You know what? I think we're gonna go through all of these games and not see anything with any anime art style or anything tagged nudity or sexual content. Is this the end? Perhaps. Like, it's too early to say that for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a point in December where things were just not getting approved at all. This game, The Perfectionist, that was a free-to-play RPG Maker game. It's just garbage.
The scourge will devour all.
Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Vacation Adventures Park Ranger, which is just a adventure hidden object game. Maybe it's not even a real hidden object game. $4.49. I don't think that I'd want to play something like this. It just seems like it's too simplistic, and frankly it doesn't seem like there's actually a story in it. Do this. Next we have another game that's in Chinese or Japanese characters. I should just say Asian characters. And it doesn't look very interesting. English is not supported. It's discounted to $9.89. It's Chinese. Hey, I was wrong. There was one game with an anime style for a brief second there. A cheap Chinese Into the Breach clone, I would call it. Although to be fair, I don't think I really want to play Into the Breach either. So let's do that. Do that. Next we have a game on Steam called Casual Desktop Game, which looks like total little garbage. It's like a MS Paint clone of some sort, but barely even that. Seems like you just randomly click in places and barely do anything. Early access free. Even at free, I wouldn't want to play that game. Let's see. We already talked about that story. Do I have enough here to see? 4 plus that would be 6. 12 plus 4 would be 16 plus that. No, we're not quite ready. See, next we have a game on Steam called Gravity Panda. It looks like a student project, you know, first, second year student project, a programming game with a gravity mechanic that's not that unique and a Super Meat Boy style aesthetic. Well, not aesthetic, but style of lots of spikes and such. This game is $4.99. Discounted. Not discounted, actually. Just full price. Okay. this going. This could possibly be the last game of this recording. Next we have a game on Steam called Fantasy Shino Japanese War. It looks like this might be like a DS port or something, or RPG Maker game just made really badly. I don't know what it is. It's probably a cheap Chinese game. English not supported. Yes, simplified traditional Chinese. Yep. A lot of bad Chinese games come out. Next we have a game on Steam called Odd Realm, which looks like it's some kind of mining game or something. Whatever it is, it looks horrible, and it doesn't seem like there's characters. It seems like you're just dealing with a lot of numbers. Early access for $9.99. Yeah, Odd Realm, not interesting me. Do I have enough?
The scourge will devour all.
Speak your peace.
For the wild. Job done.
So, I think what I want to do next turn is bring them down to 0, if I can. I guess I want to do that every turn. So, TechRaptor has this article, Battle Royale Knives Out reportedly made more than Fortnite iOS last year. Knife Out is not a game I've heard of, so it's strange that there would be something here. Okay, not enough.
For the wild.
Let's see. There we go. So here's what Knives Out looks like. It says Knives Out Tokyo Real. You got long white clothing and long hair and guns. It's a mobile battle royale from NetEase, which I believe is a Chinese company. Seems like it. Why have I not heard of this? This must not be in English. Weird. But then again, I don't know how much kids are really spending on things in Fortnite. Kids might be spending a lot of time, but does that mean they're spending a lot of money? Gamma Sutra has an article. The ESA and World Health Organization discuss, quote, gaming disorder, end quote, classification. Gaming disorder as an idea is a terribly stupid political move. It has nothing to do with any kind of real science, or and while it is totally possible that somebody would have the already listed disorder of obsessive compulsive disorder, and it would implement itself in obsessively, excessively playing video games, that doesn't, there's no need for a separate special listing that would 100% be used by the likes of China and Korea to round up thousands, and this is no exaggeration, thousands of kids and thousands and thousands of kids and other gamers could be rounded up in countries and sent to what are basically just detention centers under the claim that they suffer from a exaggerated made-up gaming disorder. Meanwhile, anybody that actually does have obsessive compulsive disorder and plays too much video games is not benefited one bit by that. Let's play a paladin game over here. And the Entertainment Software Association certainly doesn't want the World Health Organization to go down that route. I feel like it's important also to mention there have been similar fake diagnoses. Being gay used to be a mental illness diagnosis, for instance, but sex addiction is a popular one that is handed out by mostly wives to their husbands, and not even anybody even pretending to claim that they are a qualified mental professional. And again, you can have obsessive compulsive disorder or obsessive disorder without the compulsiveness, and it could implement itself in the form of sex, being obsessed about sex, or being compelled to engage in sexual activity. But the thing is, the reason why these disorders are just called OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, is because if you take somebody out of an environment or help them get away from one thing, their obsessive compulsive disorder still will trigger and activate on another thing. So if you take all the video games away from somebody you think has obsessive compulsive disorder and plays too much video games, they're just going to do something different. Often it's coffee and caffeine, or cigarettes, or TV, movies. Like, you're not getting to the core of the problem. You're not really helping the person. We don't need ever more specific labels in the mental health profession. That's why the autism spectrum disorder has become this broad spectrum instead of a collection of many similar but not quite exactly the same conditions. And then you also, like, you don't want to name a disorder or disease so that it immediately brings shame upon the person claiming to have it. So, in the instance of like sex addiction, if that was a real disease in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual, like, people would not want to openly admit that they had that disease or discuss it even amongst with other doctors, with doctors. So you've added this layer of silencing, which is not helpful. And if you were to, say, make video games a disease, and somebody actually felt like they might get accused of being a video game addict, I think you'd have some kids hiding the fact that they play games at all, which is not helpful. We're trying to wrap up here. I should be done with this after this game. So next game we have on Steam is called Haunted Hotel Eclipse Collector's Edition from Big Fish Games. It's been a while since Big Fish Games released a hidden object game, and they're doing their standard $12.99 no discount release.
The light dims, but we fight.
Reporting for duty.
I fight.
The battle! The battle! The battle!
course, I'm not going to put any more hidden object games on my wish list. Next, we have a game on Steam called Snake-like, which seems like it's half a roguelike game and half a snake game. The concept theoretically is a little appealing, but in reality I think this is probably a just terribly programmed. It looks like it is running at about 5 frames per second, and yeah, the thing about Snake in particular as a game is it's just not really something that I'd want to play. It gets too fast, too quickly.
The battle! The battle! For justice!
There we go.
Move quickly!
Snake-like is $9.99, no discount. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just skip to the news and cover the news, and we'll leave a couple of these games for Monday and wrap up the stream. So, and I'm gonna just have to play and get 1 victory on the Asian account, one victory on the on the European account. TechRaptor has an article: update to Unity changes terms of service to block spatial OS tool from improbable. Update: one of the games mentioned in the article below, Lazarus, is now running again. I guess that's the only update part about this. Still really no indication that I'm getting as to why. Why they would do that? I don't know. NVIDIA announced a new video card that's like a low-end replacement. I may decide to pick that up. I was gonna see if I could get a 1080 Ti, but I'm thinking like 10 or 1080. I'm thinking a lot of those though are not even available for purchase anymore. So I don't know if I really what I'm gonna get, but I definitely do need to get a new video card. And then the update here on this article. Yeah, I don't know if anybody got the 8th word or image of the sheep that were coming out for the wind up to the announcement to the release of Catherine on PC. Humble Bundle was giving away a free game, so you might want to check that out. That might still be available. And if I scroll down my Twitter, I doubt that anything happened on Friday. Creators of Choose Your Own Adventure books sue Netflix over Bandersnatch. Interesting. The idea that Choose Your Own Adventure books could own the copyright on such a generic concept is crazy, but it's very possible. The Room 2 episode 5 aired on my channel 40 minutes ago. Let's see. I'm scrolling down my Twitter feed, and yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything else to talk about. So yeah, I'm gonna heat up my back and try to treat it nicely. that's gonna be it for this recording and this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.